Whoa,
Okay.
that's cool.
I just want to start by saying thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. I
Of
suppose we
course.
should start right at the beginning. So, how did you first realize you had a passion or a love for music?
Oh gosh, I think I've kind of always been raised loving music, and I've done so much um I don't know. I think I've always been so heavily invested and involved in performing. I mean, I was at a little as a little boy, I was a chorister at Llandaff Cathedral,
Hmm.
which was like very interesting for I guess growing up, but it also just made me love music and what I was doing, you know. And then kind of growing up, I just found my way into really loving
Hmm.
um, pop music and artists. I remember I was obsessed with Ed Sheeran, like pretty much every single pop boy ever. Um, and so I think that it just kind of it just by the time that I was, I guess, 18, 19, it just felt like the obvious thing to do. It was what I'd
Hmm.
always wanted. So um, I feel like I just kind of naturally fell into it, really.
Hmm. And obviously, we were talking before we started recording about knowing each other through musical theatre. So, how
Yeah.
did that transition from sort of musical theatre to sort of more pop music happen?
Um, honestly, it was more of a transition from pop music to musical theatre. I
Hmm.
think, like, I remember I just remember always telling people that I was like writing songs and stuff and when I
Hmm.
was in secondary school, and I just wasn't, like it was like this, like, I don't know, me trying to prove myself or something like that, and telling people like um trying to, I don't know, just
Hmm.
saying like I was gonna do this thing, like I was gonna do music, like I was gonna be a musician, I was gonna do all of that, and then never actually following through on it. And then I think I got to like sixth form, and I was thinking, well, gosh, I want to do pop music, but I don't know where to start. And then just got so invested in musical theatre, and that kind of led to me going to drama school and lots of stuff. So the pop career kind of was on a hold for a little bit
Hmm.
whilst I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't regret that at all. I definitely don't.
And obviously, when you were doing your part of musicals, one thing I noticed you start doing was a lot of busking gigs. So, what is it actually
Yeah.
like busking? What was that experience like for you?
Oh my God, the funniest thing. I loved it. I mean, I did busking for quite a bit, but properly started, I would say, like just after the lockdown. Um, and God, the stories I have, it was really great, like so amazing to be able to kind of, I think it was a really great opportunity for one, me to make money, which was very important, but also just connecting with people, just on the street who were
Hmm.
like, they were most of the times, 90% of the time, lovely people. And then, like there was, there was one moment where this woman, well, I got given a tenner, and that's quite good
Hmm.
when you're busking. I was
Yeah.
like, that's really great. And usually, if someone gives me a tenner, I stop playing and I'll take the tenner and put it in my pocket. And I remember I was playing this song and I was like, I'll wait till the end of the song. And this woman came up to me and she said, please, can I have some money? Like, I really need some money. And I said, I'm sorry, I really
Hmm.
can't. Like, I need this money, obviously. And then I remember she went back around the back of me and then grabbed the tenner and legged it. And I chased after her and grabbed her by the arm and said, "Come on, give it back. Come on." And she just looked me dead in the eyes, and she just ate the tenner and just chewed and swallowed it. And I just remember thinking, you know what? Fair play. I thought, if you're gonna go to that extent where you're gonna have to get out that tenner in another situation, you maybe might need it more than me. So I think that was kind of um my favorite busking experience, even though at the time it was the most frustrating thing ever.
Hmm. Because obviously Cardiff is known for having quite an eccentric city centre. The people who grace
Yeah.
it. So,
Oh, the people who grace it.
and at the same time with busking, sort of you started going more into TikTok and sort of live streaming some of those gigs. So what was it like sort of using that platform and sort of going viral?
I loved TikTok Live. I think that TikTok Live was it was such a um important part of like me
Mm,
starting out. I think I started with like musical theater content, I guess.
mm,
And so I'd never really played the pop music, my own songs, all of those kind of things. And then getting to go on TikTok Live, it was literally every day because I would at that time I was getting, upwards of 1,000 viewers a day. So I
mm,
remember I would go busking in the morning, I would live stream my busking sessions, and then I would go home and busk in the evening. And it would just like be the greatest exposure. And it just created a fan base for me that I think has lasted even to now. Like the people who watch my shows, who come to my shows in London, the majority of them are people who I knew from live streams,
mm,
which is crazy to me. I can't believe that, that's where I kind of have initially grown everything. Um, I think that it's such an important part. Devon, my one of my close friends, Devon from LA, she was in the exact same situation as me. But I mean, for her, she used it as an opportunity because she was releasing at the time. She'd use it as an opportunity. It would be like 1,000 people would be on her TikTok live stream, and she'd
mm,
say like, "If you guys pre-save my song, then I'll play a song for you on here."
mm,
And she would get thousands of pre-saves, which is such an important part of releases. Um, and yeah, I think that era of TikTok Live was just
mm.
unbeatable, and I miss it very much. I really do.
So was there a sort of a moment where you thought, "Oh, this is what I'm going to do"? Because obviously, I know when you're sort of going into stuff like this, it's you work hard for ages, and then suddenly you have that moment where you go, "Oh, I can actually do this. This is a viable sort of thing for me to do." Was there a
Mm.
moment for you that you can remember?
I think I'm. I think being an independent artist and doing this is definitely hard, and I'm incredibly privileged as well to be able to do it. Um, so I think for me, it's I try and focus on the short term goals
Hmm.
because I'm like, I'm in a position where I'm like, well, God, last year I really wanted to play a venue called Clubby for Bach in Cardiff in
Hmm.
town. I was like, I have to play that, and I did that, and that made me playing club the most amazing experience, really,
Mm.
because it's just so it felt like such a full circle moment. Um, but I will probably say the main one is 5 years ago. I went to Depot in the Castle
Hmm.
with one of my close mates, and we met the lead singer called Kieran of a band called Circa Waves, and like he took us backstage and we watched them all enter onto the stage. We watched them play, and we chatted with them. We chatted about music. We chatted about that career, and I just remember going, "I have to play this festival
Yeah.
one day. Like I have to do it." And the fact that I'm playing it 5 years later, quite literally, with like two of my best mates, one of whom is, I've went to school with and all of that. And it's just like the most full circle thing ever. And I
Mm.
think that's just what makes you go like, this is literally what you've always wanted. Yeah.
Mm. Well, obviously, we'll come back to that gig in a little bit. But when you
Mm.
sort of released your first song, sort of publicly, what was the reaction like? What was the process of that like?
I think like my first release was definitely like the one that I learned the most. I think
Hmm.
it was one of the first songs I'd ever written, which is crazy. And I think that it was a proper yeah, just a learning experience really. I think there's lots of things that I wish I'd probably done or hadn't done, but I think that that's something that's so important in life. Even like
Mm.
you've got to learn from mistakes and stuff. But um, it was an amazing experience because I was in uni at the same time,
Mm.
and so it was like I remember we had like a release party and all of my friends from uni came in and celebrated the release together,
Oh.
and it was so important because I got things like editorials, I got some Spotify editorials, and just great support on the song, really. Um, yeah, and it was definitely one of those things that you're like, oh my gosh, finally, like I've always wanted to release music. That's my name
Mm.
on Spotify when I type it out, you know. Yeah, just I think like Not This Time release was just again like one of those full circles kind of
Mm.
things.
And obviously, from your first now to your latest, so what was it like putting No One Sleeps in Hollywood together?
Like, oh gosh, so cool. I feel like um I don't know, I just feel like I'm starting to feel like my own artist. I think
Mm.
that the previous EP felt like I was just treading the lines of a lot of other artists and a
Mm.
lot of other projects. And then with this next project that's coming, I just feel solidified in what I want to do.
Mm.
And that just comes with time. You know, you just have to release stuff that is, you know, maybe just like following
Mm.
the footsteps of other artists. And then when you feel like you can come into your own, that's what I feel like I've done now. And
Mm.
it's been the best. It's my favorite release so far. I love the song. It means so much to me. We did so much and worked so hard to create a world around the song. And so it's just felt like the most satisfying and it's
Mm.
been the best release week that I've ever had, and
Wow.
all with a new team and all um just all new beginnings really.
Mm.
So makes me very excited for the future.
Where did the song come from? Sort of what inspired you to write that track?
I think I would say I think it's weird because I think a lot of people say it's about like my battle with the industry in Los Angeles, but it's not really. Like I love LA. I love it. I think that I'm kind of I'm a different songwriter in LA, and I
Mm.
love that. Um, I think it was kind of just the idea in the first verse. I remember I had written the first verse the night before at my friend Devon's house in her kitchen, and I just remember coming into the session and just being like, okay, well I've got this. It's like actually rambling, and I don't know what it means, and this is why songwriters are so important. It was my friends Louis and Sheer and James, and they helped me create it and turn it into something. Um, and yeah, I think it was just about the fact that I was in LA and I was seeing this culture of like how hardworking it was, and it's
Mm.
when I'm at home, I love Cardiff and I love Wales, but that songwriting, that artist culture, it's very difficult to find where people are just they just don't stop.
Mm.
And that's kind of where No One Sleeps in Hollywood came in, because it's just that culture of people who just work so hard. After a songwriting session, I feel emotionally exhausted. Like
Mm.
you just feel tired. And there are people out in Nashville and Los Angeles who write 2 songs a day, 3 songs a day, and they don't stop it. They just keep it going. And I have the utmost respect for them. But I think it felt like the first time I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm really coming into this
Mm.
world of artists and musicians, but I have a life in at home and in Cardiff that's so separate from it. And I think that whole song is just about that like discourse of
Mm.
2 different lives, 2 different feelings, I
Mm.
guess.
Amazing. So, what's the feedback been like then? Since I know you said it's a very popular first release week, but what's sort of
Mm.
the sort of listeners' reactions been like?
Yeah, really positive. This might probably come across as I don't even know, but I've had a lot of respect from other artists, which I've never had before.
Wow.
It's like having like other artists that I really love reaching out to me and saying, "Oh my gosh, we really love the song. You're
Mm.
like, we love your lyrics, or we love the prod on it," and that is like very cool. That's been something that I really love because it's like almost mutual respect, I guess, in some
Mm.
way. Um, but yeah, the fans, it. I'm not sure if I'm at that point yet, but people have just been so lovely and
Mm.
so supportive, and yeah, they just care, and that's just something that's invaluable to me. It's just lovely to see that people want to hear from me and want to hear what I have
Mm.
to say, as an artist. It's really
And
cool.
And from a personal perspective, I really love the song. You know, I've listened to it
Thank
quite
you.
a few times. I absolutely love it.
Thanks so much.
There's a part of the sort of song process you recorded a music video. So what was it
Mm.
like? You know, not just performing and writing the song, but also doing that music video.
I mean, I would love to take any sort of remote credit for that, but it's all my friend Finn. Finn is my creative director and kind of just everything in between, really.
Hmm.
And went, we did a merch drop, and we looked at it and we said, what do we want to do with this, the money from the merch drop, that's going to help and benefit both of us and do
Hmm.
something that's great. We were like, well, let's go to Los Angeles. Let's do it. The songs are about LA. A couple
Hmm.
of the songs are about LA and California. Let's go. And we went out there, and in 1 month, we filmed 4 music videos.
Wow.
And I think that it just was so fun, but I would just complain all the time. So that one took a lot of social anxiety, especially.
Hmm.
It was just like we're driving through West Hollywood, which is like the place that you do not want to be hanging out of a window. Not through like dodgy areas, but it's just a very like it's an amazing area. West Hollywood is incredible. But you're like driving past these like clubs that are just the most like eccentric clubs in the world, and with music blaring out the window, and you're hanging out with a Chick-fil-A, like Coca-Cola coming out, and that was like it. I remember my friend Dev, who was driving the car, was mortally like deathly terrified as I'm just like we're filming it, but it was so fun. Like, you know, you look back on that and you think, God, that's just so cool that we did that.
Hmm.
So especially with that visualizer, it's just like, you know, it just felt so fun. I really
Hmm.
enjoyed it.
You mentioned it there, and also you put a post about this sort of social anxiety sort of factor. So how
Yeah,
do you balance that with the world of performing then? How does that sort of coincide?
it doesn't. I don't think. I think I just love it. I love playing and I love performing. And as artists, majority of us write to play live. You
Hmm.
know, so I write my songs and I'm like, I can see myself like playing this live. I haven't got to that point yet where all my sets are all acoustic at the moment, but um, I love the idea of just performing and playing live.
Hmm.
Um, and so the social anxiety aspect doesn't really come out when it comes to live performances, but it just comes out whenever anyone puts a camera to you and you have to be like, hey
Hmm.
guys, this is my song, like stream it on all platforms. Like that's
Yeah.
not what I mean we're built for, but at the same time, you can look at that from an aspect of like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming and scary. Or you
Hmm.
can look at it and be like, okay, cool, what can I do about this that I can make my own? And
Hmm.
my answer to that was hanging out of a car. But
So you did mention it earlier as well, but you are one of the special guests for Depot in the Castle. What was it like
yeah,
getting that call and sort of finding out that you're going to be part of that?
I was having a coffee with my friend, and I just remember being like, saying a lot of words. I mean, as I said, it's just a dream. It's surreal, and it's an incredible ode to hopefully what's to come.
Mm,
And you know, I just want to, I want, I just want to get up on that stage and just have the best like half an
mm.
hour of my life. People don't have to be there. It's literally Cardiff Castle. I don't care. Like I'm just like, I'm it's gonna be amazing, and it's the first time I'm performing properly with a band. I'm having like some of my best friends traveling really far to be able to come and play for it.
Mm.
Um, and I'm just like just gonna get up there and just have the best time. It's
Mm.
gonna be incredible, you
Because
know.
obviously the lineup is full of one incredible stars,
Mm,
and obviously you're performing, you know, in your hometown in one of the probably the most iconic structures in Wales. Um,
yeah.
so do you think that adds pressure at all? Does that make you feel more at home? How does that sort of work with you?
Um, yeah, I think I wouldn't necessarily say it's pressure. I think, um, I don't ever look at it and think, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous to play
Mm,
alongside these people. You know, I just think that it's, you know, I mean, I have all that utmost, like I have so much faith in my music and who I am as an
totally.
artist. And for the fact that there are people who believe in that equally as much, to let me play on their stage
Mm,
is a cool, and just to be able to showcase who I am to Wales, and I really want to make a positive difference with pop music in
mm,
Wales, and as an artist. And so like being given that platform is something I'm incredibly lucky, and I have friends that I'm playing with who are also on the bill, and being on the same bill as Anne Marie, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, crazy, very surreal.
So I am coming to the end of my questions, but I do have a few more. Right. So,
Nice.
what advice do you have for sort of young people looking to get into the industry or to get into songwriting?
A little bit of a location change. This is the floor after I left said meeting by accident. Um, yeah, I've always said that I guess my experience with songwriting and being an artist and doing that is, as soon as I realized that people don't really care about you to an extent of, posting online and, you know,
Hmm,
putting yourself out there, I think that that's when I realized that, you know, it's all you're in control of
hmm,
what you're doing. And so as soon as you realize it's not that deep, and then you can just put your stuff out there and kind of come into your own and figure it out as you go. That's kind of how I did it. Then it was the most freeing experience because, like everyone, I experienced the kind of like mentality of school where, you know, there's so many people who, have opinions and
hmm,
have things to say. But as soon as I was out of that and realized that it isn't actually that deep, and, you know, you can just do what you've always loved, it just
hmm,
became the most freeing experience. And I've not looked back. So I would just advise people, just go for it, just do it.
totally.
Don't put it off. You know, there are people who put it off and they're like, I'll do it next month. All right,
Yeah.
just do it. Just get it out there. Post an awful cover or something, and then just keep going. You know,
So what's next for you? What have you got coming up? Promote yourself.
gosh, gosh. At the moment, there's not much announced, but there's lots coming. I will
Hmm,
say. I'm hoping to release another project this year. Um, I'm hoping to kind of play a lot more shows. It's all very exciting. I think that um, just, I mean, I'd love to do a headliner,
hmm,
in Cardiff and in London, and there's a lot more songs coming. So it's just kind of like a lot of hypotheticals at the moment, but um, I think this is the first time in a while where I've been able to look at next year
hmm.
and go, I know that there is something, I'm going to
Yeah.
be doing something. Whereas before, I felt like I have no idea what's coming.
Hmm.
I'm like, and that scares me. But now it's nice to be in a position where I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually know what I'm doing with my life, and I know what's ahead of me.
Hmm.
Because I have a new team, I have things that are kind of in place, and yeah, I just want to kind of build up my profile, I guess, and just keep it coming, I guess.
Hmm. Talking
But yeah.
about profile, where can people stay up to date with you and your music?
I would probably say the best place is on all social media, so Instagram, TikTok. If you can deal with my constant Instagram reels of my exact same part of my song, but also for my music, I would definitely say all streaming platforms is under Ben Ellis, and yeah, very grateful. Thank you so much for having me on. By the way, I really appreciate it.
It's no problem at all. And that does bring me to the end. So thank you so much for taking your time out. I know you're extremely
Oh, of
busy.
course.
So
Oh,
thank you for
thank
chatting
you.
to me. And I shall speak to you soon.
Yeah, I will chat to you soon. Yeah, really good to chat actually, and I'm sure I'll see you in person at some point. And
Hopefully.
yeah,
See you soon.
oh, other than a Zoom. Chat to you in a bit.